man speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while. When will the lonely voice of youth cry, what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
Kaboom! Here we are. Welcome in. I am confident that we are going to have a great time on the pirate stream tonight. I have my Sam Pellegrino. I hope you have some similar sort of drink as well, because, you should have something to drink when you're watching the stream. What else do we have? We have our Muppet mug. You should consider. If you don't have a Muppet mug, you should consider getting one because they're good. In fact, they're excellent. And we have our skull mug because we're pirates. And how can you not have one of these? This has my turmeric ginger tea with some manuka honey that I added. Of course, I put everything in the wrong cup and then I had to move it, but oh well. Technology. And then, of course, we got Captain's mug here. Got some beautiful tea from Table Rock Tea Company, all American tea. Grown right here in the good old US of A. In fact, in South Carolina, in the mountains, no less. Masala Mahala, good stuff. It's chai, really. It's not tea. It's a tea song. Well, a chai is, I guess, a little bit different than a tea song. But yeah, we're here. We're here. We're ready to do it. Let's grab our favorite book, Better Procrustes. Let's see what aphorisms Nassim Taleb has for us. He has a whole chapter called Counter Narratives. When we want to do something while unconsciously certain to fail, we seek advice so we can blame someone else for the failure. I don't pick these ahead of time, so I don't know what's happening, but also, how apropos. Whoops, look at that. See, you put a book down and your camera flips up. One of these days, I'm going to get a new camera. Camera is just an okay camera. Anyway, yeah, the internet is alive with debate talk. I don't particularly like debates. I'm not implying that anybody doing debates shouldn't do debates. I'm not saying anything like that. I was contemplating this earlier in the shower, which I take at the last minute because I totally got up and forgot. I was up late last night, or rather early this morning, 3 a.m. to be precise. Not a great way to start your day. To be honest, I can get away with it still, but for how much longer, I do not know. So yeah, I was thinking about this debate. The interesting thing about the internet is that it makes the thing that they're now calling debate, which by the way is not technically debate, just in case anybody's curious. It makes it more useful, right? Because although converting people by giving them, we'll say, logical, rational arguments for or against a particular argument to change their mind is not a terribly effective thing to do, right? I don't know what the actual percentages are. It'll be interesting to find out from somebody like Andrew Wilson, like, well, how many people, right? Because he has some numbers. You could say they're anecdotal or whatever, but he's still He's still king dog, right? He's still the top of the online debate. Um, a 1% or even a 0.1% is a big number when you're on the internet, right? When you have 5 million views, right? Like that's a significant number of people that you're helping right now. Still not a great percentage, right? But it's one kind of advantage to the internet, sort of maybe, right? Is that things that aren't terribly effective still help lots of people and are very cheap to do now. So it's good to know. So yeah, like Candace Owens, at some point she went insane. She was very good in the beginning. This is always people always discount this, right? Especially post World War II. We tend not to realize that just because someone's like gone off the rails recently, like Candace did, that they used to do good work and they were doing wonderful things before. I mean, Candace's work with Macron and Harvey Weinstein is actually excellent. I couldn't find anything wrong with any of it. She had the goods. She actually had evidence. This Charlie Kirk thing, she's not only doesn't have any evidence, but seems allergic to evidence as such. The court evidence, any kind of evidence, and it doesn't, standards of evidence don't exist for her anymore. And they used to. It's worth pondering. Like, why is it that Candace used to do good work and no longer does? And what is that? How do we quantify and classify that? Well, we're not talking about that this maybe at the very end or something, if somebody really wants to hop on camera and get into it. But, standards of evidence are important. And you don't need them to convince people. People are not convinced by evidence. That's an extremely rare circumstance. And people need to realize that humans are not rational. They're creatures that are capable of being rational for short periods of time at great cost. And how long that lasts and whether or not that has a lasting effect, yeah, that's all up in the air. So you got to keep that in mind when you're using these systems. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm quite confident that what I'm saying is true, which leads us into tonight's actual topic, which is confidence. And how you tackle these things matters. The fact that we have to do it is bad. Like, it's like you're already in a hole and you want to avoid digging, right? Because you can't really dig your way out of a hole. I mean, maybe there are some corner cases and some hypotheticals, but actually, no. Right. And so we need to understand confidence all of a sudden for no good reason, for all bad reasons, actually, to be more explicit. That which makes armies succeed, fortunes rise, followers become devout, great leaders, without which markets fail, people fail, bridges fail, they go unused. Mimicked as a signal, sent to inspire, misread to great misfortune, and so much more. Confidence is oft confused with arrogance. Because effectively, I'm going to play a little trick here and I'm going to correct it immediately. Don't get all upset. Okay. Confidence, to some degree, is knowing that you know what you know. In essence, in non-self-referential terminology, it's a certainty about your claims. It doesn't have to be a high certainty. It's having any at all. And this may seem sort of contradictory, but it's not. You see, your unconscious mind betrays you all the time, right? And in other words, technically, you lie to yourself. And because knowledge is only the result of action, it's embodiment, right? All knowledge is embodied. All things like reading books that are not embodied are not knowledge at all, ever, even a little bit. What that means is confidence is this signal about the things that you are claiming into, for, and about the world that is more than mere regurgitation of information that you have gotten elsewhere. And confidence allows you to go forward or allows you to carry on. It can become contagious. It can inspire or ruin a person. It can make things happen. It can stop things from happening. It can shift thoughts. It can change minds, move groups, build or collapse markets. It can carry you into the future, yours or someone else's. Or it can set things back further into the past. It's a powerful signal for certainty of your claims or other people's claims. Without confidence, people have a harder time doing things. Maybe they're not impossible. They have a harder time doing things. They struggle and they are easily led astray. And that's really important. People who don't signal confidence, and there are signals, we'll say, that are more negative than, we'll say, the mere absence of confidence, they are targets for predators. Jordan Peterson talks about this, right? Confidence makes you less prone to predators. That's also a reason why you might want to fake confidence, by the way, which is a bad thing, to be sure, unless, of course, you're in a place with predators. And sure, you don't need it for learning. In fact, confidence is a hindrance for learning, technically. But you do need it to get things done, especially important things, because important things are harder. Other people need confidence so that you follow them. It's not the only time you follow people, but it is one factor. It can signal competence, trust, danger, assurance, or certain doom when misplaced. And that's, I think, is significant. Like, I think that's actually important to realize, we'll say, overall. It's not necessarily a plus. People that are confident can also meet bad ends. And this one signal makes the world go round or makes the world switch direction or stop entirely, merely through its presence or absence, and based on how it is being used. Yet, we hardly know a thing about it. We never consider it at all, much less carefully and deeply. And this is because, to some extent, revealing too much in propositions flattens the thing and it becomes easily corrupted. And that's a big theme here. I mean, even though to some extent, I have to reveal things in propositions. I don't actually have much choice in the matter. At some level, uh, there are limits to things like YouTube channels. These communication mediums place constraints on us. And you ultimately shouldn't have to discuss things like confidence and authority. Like, these are things that you should grow up with an intuitive understanding of due to your formation. But we're living in a world of poor formation for certain. So the time has come to make this confidence more clear so that people can recognize proper from improper confidence, good from bad confidence, and right from wrong confidence. Those are all different, by the way. We need to have this clear in our minds because much of this was not formed in our youth by those who should have taken responsibility for doing so. Betrayal, indeed. If there is a generational betrayal, the lack of formation, which covers a broad range of things, by the way, that would be it. Everything else would not be it, by the way, like technically, actually. Super important. So, what exactly is a good way to understand confidence? And I'll address the flow state thing in a minute. Ixnon, sir. I will. As a signal of something of high importance with respect to action someone is taking in the world or the stake or weight that they are putting on their words, or perhaps both. A confident person can get other people to do things with the mere threat of force. Like everybody talks about force. Force is not required. Threat of force is almost always sufficient because nobody wants to get hurt, including the person doing the force. I've been watching Reacher recently. The new season is quite violent. That's delightful. Utterly delightful. And yeah, that's really what it's all about. The guys who are bigger and stronger are getting their tails handed to them, basically, left, right, and center by one person. For whatever reason, we could go into all that, but it would be pointless, right? It's a show. It's fun. It's silly at times too, but there's a point, right? Which is your attacker gets damaged when you attack or when they attack. It doesn't matter which. Like, action has a cost. It may be a lesser cost for them than for you, but that doesn't help you much. Ultimately, it's great for that one encounter, but there are multiple encounters, right? Nobody accounts for time. So you have to understand the weight people are putting into their words by how confident they are. If somebody comes up to you and says, I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to put you in the hospital, and they say it with enough confidence, maybe you should think about that before you continue doing whatever pissed them off. And you only have to be confident about your ability to take them with you, not to win, by the way. I've used this to great effect because I'm not a big person, but I've never gotten beaten up. Not by one person, anyway. There was one incident with 5 guys, but it was 5 people, so, you know, hadn't taken karate yet either. Otherwise, who knows? I mean, maybe, maybe not, right? And propositions is typically where confidence breaks down, both in your ability to read it and in people's ability to send that signal. And there are reasons for that on both sides, which we'll get into later. So you are best off in reading confidence in light of actions alone. But what is it, this confidence? Exactly. When your unconscious or subconscious mind and the conscious expression match, you get confidence. That's how you, the agent, would embody confidence. It doesn't tell you much about how to read it, right? But it does tell you something about how it happens. We'll say true or proper confidence. It's this match between this imaginal, right? I can imagine who I can beat up, right? And the actual. And then I can say, I'm going to beat you up if you do that again. When your knowledge is from experience, it's really the only type of knowledge, right? But living the age of gnosis, we have to say that over and over again till people get it because they don't get it. And consciously directed action. In other words, not reading, contemplation by accident. A lot of people like trip across things, right? Those things, reading and contemplation, are informing and inferring, right? But they're not consciously directed actions. They might be consciously directed mental exercises, but they're not actions. They're not actions because independent observers can't observe them. If you could be asleep, what's the difference between that reflection, contemplation, and full-on meditation? Oh, then so long as you express this match closely enough, confidence happens. The signal of confidence goes out into the world. It's when your rationality, feelings, and the information that you have line up to boost you up, to make you better and bigger than you are. We'll say without that alignment. This proper alignment in the world gives you confidence. Somebody who will say feels, I don't know, spiritually at peace has a confidence that they radiate with every other thing they do. That might be a hint, by the way, about the proper way to live in the world. Just saying. And confidence is a signal that you are bigger than merely an average person, or even the person that you are at, we'll call it the baseline, when you don't feel so confident, or when you're doing something that you're not confident about because it's new. Maybe you're learning. If you're learning, you're not confident. You might be confident you can learn a thing, although again, that is a detriment. You should go into learning situations with an extreme amount of humility about your capabilities and your capacities, and those are different. My capacity to learn musical instruments is whatever it is, at this point, 0. But maybe my capacity is actually I could learn one musical instrument if I put in a bunch of time and had the ability to practice and sit down and focus on that, which I do not, by the way. 2 problems, not 1. I don't know. But other people like Prince can play, 12 musical instruments by the age of 6 or some ridiculous nonsense thing that I can't even contemplate. Right? That's a capacity issue. What is your capacity? But your ability, that's totally different. Like maybe you can learn 12 instruments, but you can't be very good at any of them. And maybe if you only learn 6, you still can't be good at any of them. That's capability. But this confidence, it shows the enhancement of your personness as the result of being properly oriented internally, externally, and realizing it all at the same time. It all comes together. It all links together at the same time. And this is a powerful indicator to others that you are in alignment with yourself and nature. In other words, you have proper boundaries. You understand and sense boundaries. And when you do that, you know when you're close to a wall, you know when you're close to your cognitive limit, you know when you're close to the limits of your abilities. And you know when you're not, you know when you have more to go. Very important. And the problem nowadays, especially with the internet and the flood of information and the flood of personalities and the flood of nonsense and crazy talk, like now Candace Owens, who didn't used to be that way at all, is that this signal, this confidence signal, like all other signals, can be misread by the untrained eye. If you've got poor formation, you've got poor training in this particular understanding of confidence and where it's useful and where it's not. So, in our current conundrum, we'll call it, arrogance rules the day because people cannot tell the difference. And arrogance is a fake form of confidence signaling, which isn't in alignment with reality. It's an internal inconsistency, a type of cognitive dissonance that people can hold. Narcissists, especially, and man, are we in the age of narcissism? And so, one way to understand this uh, sort of arrogance is that someone reads a book about farming and then they think they know something about farming. I will tell you in numerical terms, numerical measurement, precisely how much you know about farming. We'll just assume you've read 50% of all the farming books ever written. Okay. The amount that you now know about farming is negative all of it because words cannot give you this information in a useful enough form for you to be able to do anything with it. And you can look at things like economics. There's a reason why Nassim Taleb says all economists are frauds. Still love that. He's since modified that to most. I think he ran into Dubner or something. Freakonomics is a great series of books, but I really should read it. But still, he's got a point there. Almost all, for sure. Right? They're very arrogant, right? Because they're seeing in hindsight ways to predict things that had already happened. None of those predictions carry into the future with any real utility. I mean, some of them are correct, but worthless. Like predicting the price of tea in China is worthless if you can't change it. Like, who cares? Like, okay, it's going to be X at Y date. Doesn't change my spending habits. It can't. There are limits to how much tea you can buy in advance and store without it going bad, for example. So these ideas that these fluctuations matter, yeah, they matter within the window that they're accurate. What's that window? Is that a window you can play in? Sure. Price of gold normalizes. Price of gold's been irrational for 100 years in one stretch once. Not very useful to own gold in that situation, is it? It might be useful to own gold in other situations, but not in that situation. And then we have overconfidence. And that's when someone mimics the confidence that they don't have in a fake it until you make it scenario. That is evil, by the way. If somebody says fake it till you make it, that those are evil people, right? Just FYI, so that you know. That's all materialist flat world BS, basically. Right. So these overconfident people, they learn the outward signs of confidence and exaggerate them because they aren't true to form. Right. In other words, they don't have a proper sense of boundaries. Okay. And they fool a lot of people. Right. And it can be hard to spot. And this is why discernment matters, but it can be spotted. Okay. So you're there. I forget where this was. I haven't been able to find the stupid talk. And you're Eric Weinstein and you're yapping your gums about the 2008 housing crisis and claiming that had you just talked to the physicists, they would have avoided this problem. Well, first of all, you obviously don't understand enough about finance to know that that was not an avoidable problem. Secondly, you've misdiagnosed the cause, as almost everybody else has, because you didn't pay attention to history. You didn't realize 2008 housing crisis was just the savings and loan crisis, only done all over again in a different market. And once you understand the savings and loan, and maybe, also a little tricky to find. It was fraud, guys. It was fraud. It was just people claiming to own things they didn't own. Period. End of statement. It's that simple, right? It's in the internet industry is called overbooking, right? You overbook your bandwidth. You've got enough bandwidth for 10 people to stream media. You sell that to 100 people. Standard practice, by the way. That might be low numbers, in fact. This is common, right? When you do that in finance, that's going to come down eventually, right? But when the good news is when it does, the government will just bail you out and screw all the homeowners. Ask me how I know, right? Another great confusion, and this is a real unfortunate one, is that passion is not confidence. You can be passionate about something and it doesn't actually mean anything. Some people are very passionate about aliens. Some people are passionate about ancient aliens. Amusement, for sure. Entertainment, absolutely. I love me some ancient aliens. Man, every time we go to a hotel, if Ancient Aliens is on, I'm there for it. I just watching their craft, because it is a craft, watching what they're doing, watching the psyop moves that I don't think they're doing them on purpose. I think they actually believe their own BS to some extent. It's it would be like watching Rembrandt paint, you know? Like seriously. I'm not screwing with you. Like actually, right? But passion does not signal competence, right? Because competence is linked to action. It just signals desire, a formed desire, right? A clear desire, usually, but easily mistaken for confidence. Oh, he seems really passionate about what he's saying. He must be certain. No, no, no. Those ancient alien peoples are definitely not certain. Some of them are happy to, we'll say, signal more certainty than they have on TV and a lot less when they're in public. You can ask me how I know on that too, by the way, because I can tell you actually. Um, and for that matter, people cannot tell feelings or passion anymore, right? They can't tell the difference between those things because they don't know what formation is. They haven't been properly formed. Passion can drive people, right? Someone can be cold and confident, but they won't last. They won't last. So passion and confidence often come together in competence because competence needs those two components. If you're not passionate about doing something, no matter how well you are able to do it, you will not do it competently. You just won't. And a lot of people have that problem. They have talents that I can't even imagine. I don't even believe exist at some point because I haven't seen them. And they don't apply themselves, right? Whenever somebody says you're not applying yourself, what they mean is you don't have a passion for the thing you're doing. And they say high aptitude. That means high capability, right? High ability to do something. But no passion, well, you're not going to apply yourself to it. You need to apply yourself with your capability. Now, if you don't have the capability, applying yourself, passionate, not enough. It's not going to work. Right? I can apply myself to playing guitar all day long. I haven't done it for a whole day, but I've done it before. And you guys don't want to hear that. No one wants to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Terrible. Terrible. Sounds like someone's killing a cat. Poor cat. So that's the union between passion and confidence is competence. Competence is more than just that, but also that. Very important. So it's another one of these things that looks a lot like confidence, but isn't. Well, dogmatism. And dogmatism is always identified as the quote, big problem. It's the dogmatic blah that causes the war or whatever. It's a lot of garbage, by the way. And that's just dogmatism is just an unjustifiable certainty that you got from somewhere else, usually propositionally, by the way, because dogmas are propositional, right? You may not have gotten your dogma propositionally. You may only be expressing it propositionally. That's an interesting thing to think about. I'm not going to go into detail here. Maybe at the end of the monologue, but not going to say any more on that now. But pretend that you have it through experience, right? This dogma. It's purely propositional. And that might be important. And sadly, this is the problem. Some dogma is required. Like we're not getting out of the dogma trap. Dogma is a thing that is required. I mean, John Vervaeke kind of figured this out eventually. Good for him. I think it took him a year and a half, 2 years. We did a thing on dogma on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord YouTube channel. Manuel and I did that with a friend in Australia years ago, probably 6 years ago now, something in that range. So it might be important to realize all this, right? That this dogma is required because we all have to have our starting axioms and they should be stated up front so people know where we're starting from, right? If you have a physics degree, maybe right, your dogmatic statement is, I have a physics degree and therefore I know about economics. It's obviously false, by the way. Don't believe any physicist says he knows anything about economics. Immediately discount everything they say at that point. Immediately. Because they're going to get their physics and their economics mixed up, and those two have zero overlap. I can just tell you that right now. I'm not saying it's not useful to like map economic principles to things like a gravity, because it could be, but the calculations you would use are completely different and have no overlap. The math is not the same. They'll make it sound like it is, so they can, I know math, I know physics, I know economics, I'm super smart. No, you're not. You're making an error. You're making classic category error is what you're doing. So these dogmas only matter as starting points. Starting point statements are important. And as long as they're starting point statements and you can agree on them, you can proceed. It's not a big deal. Like it's valid for me to say, I'm an elephant. And as an elephant, blah, blah, blah. That's valid. Now, you may reject that and say, obviously, Mark, you're not an elephant, right? And that may be bad because maybe you're rejecting taking a journey in hypothetical land with me that could teach you something about the world, right? That's possible. I'm a little skeptical of these sorts of formulations. I'm not saying I haven't used them, but a lot of people use them all the time, and usually it's not the right tool. It's not the right tool. Even if they're right, it's not the right tool. So you just got to be careful with axiomatic statements, with this dogmatism. And you have to be able to differentiate the dogmatism that's used as an axiomatic statement versus the dogmatism that is not, right? Because that's the Candace Owens dogmatism right there, versus the dogmatism that's implied. Oh, this guy got shot. Oh, okay. The implied dogmatism is that that was a bad thing. And your mind immediately jumps there because nobody wants someone to get shot. Excuse me. So there's an implication in the dogmatism. Super important to realize that. Otherwise, you won't see the tricks that Candace Owens is playing, to be fair, probably also on herself. We'll see what the fallout is from the great debate today, but probably not going to go well for Candace. Hopefully she learns something and like straightens up and goes back to doing the good work she used to do before this Charlie Kirk thing drove a bunch of people insane, right? So fake news virus scamdemic. Some people call it COVID. I don't know why. I like more accurate names. That drives a bunch of people on the left to be just right off the freaking insanity city immediately. That those dominoes, by the way, are part of what causes Charlie Kirk. Right? Charlie Kirk causes the moderates to go off the edge. Right? The conservatives were just kind of hanging out, sitting back, going, "Whatever, guys. Let me know when you're done. We'll be back at that point to maybe help you or do something, rebuild the world once you're all kowtowed by yourselves. We don't have to get our hands dirty with that." These people are like that. I'm from Boston, man. I'm telling you, they do things like this. Even it's in Tulip. I forget how many live streams ago it was, but I read it in here, actually. I was like, oh, that's actually really insightful. Why didn't I know that? I should know that. So it's easy to see these dogmatic statements. A proper dogmatic statement, and they're not all correct just because it's a proper dogmatic statement, is a starting point. The thing that you're going to say, like, we're starting here, we're going from there. Right? Another problem that we have with confidence is this fantasy problem, which, boy, this is kind of everywhere, guys. right? It's things like the illusion of intellectual authority, which we discussed last week, actually. I cribbed a bunch of material from last week into this one because when we were talking about authority, this came up. A lot of these streams are going to start to be more stitched together, we'll say. They're going to have more threads, golden threads through them, right? And that intellectual authority can, in the age of gnosis, because now we're treating propositions as a form of knowledge and knowledge is the highest value, that can cause people to be confused about confidence. I mean, if you think Eric Weinstein is an authority on pretty much anything, man, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Or, Alex O'Connor. I mean, somebody gave that guy a degree. His logic is horrible. I mean, he's no good. Like, his ability to think logically is non-existent. I mean, actually, technically, right? Just measurably, he can't do it. It's all assumptions and presumptions with him. I have a video on that. Actually, I think there's more than one video on that. I forget. That was a while back. It was at least a year ago now. And people who can use fancy words can stray, and not all do, but most kind of seem to, right? Can stray into believing that the usage of those words makes them more certain, right? Because those words are more precise or they're more accurate, at least in their minds, right? And often those words are mere jargon and they either add nothing, right? They don't actually add the precision and accuracy. They just changed a word to make it sound special, right? Or they're made up terms, which aren't proper names of things that need or can be discussed. Social justice sounds neat. Empathy sounds neat, but you can't discuss empathy. What are you talking about? I mean, maybe in the abstract, you can use empathy to point to something like a mother should have empathy for all of their children under the age of 5. Sure, absolutely. I agree with that. After that, no, I don't think so. I don't think it's possible anymore. There's a technical reason for that, by the way. Right? Children under the age of 5 are not fully formed. And so maybe it's possible for your imagination, your imaginal realm, to encompass the entire range of that child's emotions and read them accurately, because children are much easier to read for the most part than adults are. And therefore, you could have empathy for them technically. Yeah, that's quite possible. I kind of think that's probably true. I'm okay with that. In short, is that correct? Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm gonna roll with it for now, but outside of that, can I have empathy for another adult? No, that's ridiculous. A lot of people have a range of emotion way beyond mine. I can't have empathy for those people, even if I had access to their feelings, which I certainly do not. And that's that fantasy. Like, you fantasize that somebody on the stage at a TED Talk is telling you something important or interesting, or that they're right because they have a degree or whatever it is. They sound good. They look good. They're kind of everyman-ish, whatever. They dress the way you expect somebody to dress, right? Who's not part of the establishment, maybe. These are not great signals, right? So then, how can we discern good confidence from bad confidence, from these bad sorts of things that I've just listed? And not trying to give you a complete list here. It might be a complete list. That would be awesome. I have no idea. I'm not trying to be complete. I'm trying to point at how complex these things are. And first off, do not be skeptical and cynical about confidence. Have it. Follow it. Make mistakes and learn from them. Secondly, look for contradictions of actions and words. Oh, I really believe that, participation is super important. Okay. What groups are you participating in exactly? Oh, none. Okay, well, you're full of it. It's easy. You don't want to believe that because you've already been convinced by the propositions, right? So, not instructions and actions. That's different, right? Actions and words, right? So, if somebody says, you need to go down and chop wood, and you're like, yeah, but you're not chopping wood. It's like, well, okay, that's not a contradiction, right? Right? Because instructions to others are different, right? Hierarchy is real. And this is an important thing to tease out in your mind, right? So to instruct somebody else to do something that you yourself can and will do is not a contradiction, nor is it a hypocritical way of being, right? Maybe you're not doing it and you could do it, or maybe you can't do it, but you want someone else to do it. That's called helping, by the way, right? I've got a problem with my electricity in my house. I call somebody, they do it because I'm not touching the damn electricity. That's not me being hypocritical because I won't do my own electrical work in my house, obviously. It seems obvious, but it's very hard for people to draw these lines anymore. And hypocrisy is real, right? But it's harder to determine. I'm not going to do hypocrisy today. If you want to see a video on hypocrisy, leave a comment on the freaking video and maybe I'll do it. Because think about it. Someone has to read the books to know which books other people shouldn't read. Like that has to happen somehow, right? Someone has to watch everybody work in order to know the flow of the work. They can't also work and do that. There's no way to be a participant observer. That's a ridiculous statement. Sorry, Dr. Pravicki, but also silliness. This is crazy talk. Right. But this is important that you realize the world is full of asymmetry, and vertical asymmetry is hierarchy. It may not be all the vertical asymmetry, but hierarchy is one form of vertical asymmetry. So you have to be mindful about that. You have to be aware of that. You have to not be cynical and skeptical about that. In a properly functioning system, people are doing what they're best at for the system, not what they're best at for them. I've been in a lot of consulting engagements where I was like, I just want to fix this for them because I can write that code in 5 minutes. And it's a week later and it's not done. It's still broken. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. But that's not where it's most efficient. And that person needs to learn that thing. And when you're teaching somebody something, efficiency is right out the window. Because it's not about efficiency. It's about them bumping into all the things that they're prone to bump into due to their own personal quirks, limitations, capabilities, lack thereof, right? Cognitive issues, right? We don't all see the same colors. We don't all hear the same things, whatever, right? And learning a way around those limitations, right? To accomplish the task that you've got them on. There's no efficiency there. It's the absolute opposite of efficiency in every possible sense, right? The discernment of and understanding of confidence comes only through action or in relation to the action and words of someone else. In other words, your confidence is all wrapped up in your action, not in your words. There's lots of things that people are very, very competent at, that they're super good at, that they're confident while they're doing it, that they can't explain to anyone. Words are not the thing. That's agenosis garbage talk. It's observably false. This happens all the time. I can just point to random people on the street and demonstrate that they can do things that they can't explain. This isn't hard, right? If people don't want that answer, I get that. Also, don't listen to them. They're crazy people. Just saying, whatever else they do that's good or you think is good, it might not be good. Yeah. pointless. Pointless. These people can't think properly about the world at all. But when it's someone else, you're relating their actions and their words. And that's how you determine their confidence. That's how you discern confidence as such. Oh, their actions and their words seem to have some level of correspondence. They seem to be able to back off or not overpromise or underpromise, really, right? They seem to be capable. You can't know that by just watching somebody on the internet, for example. It's not actually possible, right? It might be watch somebody on the internet and see what they do when they're, we'll say, in person, hopefully, or in other spots in the internet where you can do things. YouTube is not one of those places. There's a limited number of things you can do on YouTube. You have people on. We'll get to that. We're not too far away. I can see the end of my notes. So you have to watch what people do and carefully note what they say. If somebody says, oh, I totally understand finance, and they've never invested, they probably don't understand finance, right? Oh, you said you knew something about finance, and yet you've never even bought a stock. You may think that's a silly example. I'll show you a dozen examples on YouTube right now of that being true. A lot of these people, and people who have engaged can tell immediately. This is the asymmetry, right? Like 35 years of professional programming experience, among other things, in computers. Believe me, I can tell immediately by what someone's saying if they know how to code. Immediately. It takes me no time at all. Not everyone can do that. I understand that. Most people can't do that. I can do that really easily. Really easily. Boom, just like that. Right? Just a shortcut trick that's 85 or 87% accurate. If somebody asks you, like, how many programming languages you know, red flag. They probably don't understand software engineering well enough to be a good software engineer. I'm just going to tell you right now, because the number isn't important. Maybe which ones you know might be important. And if you only know one, and maybe you only know two, that ain't enough. Just to let you know. Telling somebody to separate from their spouse while having all the spouses compete for your attention is obviously a con job. This is common in cults, right? This is the Branch Davidian compound. It's a very common pattern in cults, right? Oh, you and your spouse are not right for each other, so you should split up. And every once in a while your wife will come around to my place. Very common, very super common, right? And that's not merely a religious thing. People do that outside of the religious context all of the time, right? So these are obvious signs that, well, yeah, he's confident. He's confident that he can get your wife and have inappropriate relationships with her while you suffer, and probably deriving pleasure from both circumstances, because people are like that sometimes. I don't like those people. There's not a lot of them, but we shouldn't tolerate any if we can avoid it. The Puritans did nothing wrong, Confident people will admit missteps, but they may not call them mistakes. And that might be okay, because maintaining optimism for themselves and signaling optimism and confidence, maintaining that confidence in others, is important. Like, if you're a confident leader, you need to maintain that confidence in yourself so that other people's confidence in you is still high. So it's not a great measure, right? Not being rattled by errors and surprises is important in the moment and hard to admit to after the fact, right? But if adjustments get made by the truly confident, then that's fine, right? Whereas people who are uncertain or overconfident simply avoid or change course. Hey, remember that thing where you said that thing and then it turned out you were completely wrong? Oh, yeah, well, whatever. I'm not a confident person, right? I remember that thing where you said that thing and you were completely wrong. You're like, yeah, yeah, I get that one wrong. But, I've made some adjustments and I think I understand what happened and I won't be commenting on that ever again. Right. A lot of people will go, like Candace Owens, well, I didn't say that. It's on video. Like, I don't know why we're having a discussion about the things you did and didn't say when they're on a video. Well, why are we living in that world? Everyone's like, oh, we're going to surveil everybody and everything's going to get better. We're going to put body cams on the cops. And it's like, it didn't work. It didn't work at all. We just argue about what the hell the video shows. Like, or deny we said the things we definitely said because they were said and they're on tape and everybody can watch. But this isn't helping. It is making everything worse, though. That might be a hint. When you want to rely on facts, ises to tell you the oughts, what should we do based on these ises? Well, you're going to get chaos. You need the authority from last week, and you need the confidence from this week. You can't have just one of them, by the way. We have to follow confident people, and we have to be confident about at least some of what we do. There are plenty of people who, it doesn't matter what they do, they're not confident. And some of them do great work anyway. No one here, of course. We cannot be confident and learn at the same time. Only reflection and contemplation, which are things, practices you should take up, right, can afford the confident person learning from their mistakes, at least the ones that they make when they're being confident. When you're not in learning mode and you're being confident and you're making mistakes, you can't learn from those mistakes without reflection and contemplation. It's not technically possible. It's okay. You can just add that, right? You can make it kind of procedural even, and that works. Believe it or else. And the other means of learning from your mistakes when you're being confident is listening to trusted advisors. But that is a lot more like mimicry than anything else. Now, mimicry is super valuable. One of these days, I'll get somebody on to talk about mimicry, but I haven't had any luck so far. But we'll get there. We'll get there. If you know anybody, point in my direction. We'll do a Gerard talk. It'll be great. Maybe I'll do an extended mimicry thing. Did I do mimicry before? I have no idea. I have like 500 videos or something, or close to it. Once you embody the actions you take by being responsible for those actions, you can learn and become confident. If you don't take responsibility, you're not going to get any confidence. You can do things all day long. If you don't take responsibility, the confidence is not coming. If you don't take the attitude that you need to learn over and over again in the unconfident mode, in the learning mode, you're not going to figure out how to be confident because you have to try to embody these things. And this will help you being confident, to see it properly in others, to discern between real confidence and fake frauds trying to fool you with big words and or pleasing logic and or mere passion, clever dogma, overconfidence, and your own fantasy. Because the biggest danger is always ourselves. Don't blame them. If they fooled you, that's partly your fault too. You have to take some responsibility for that. And maybe you exposed yourself to someone you shouldn't have. And that's your full extent of your responsibility. That's fine. It happens to people all the time. Right? I have a dear friend of mine, and she tells me all the time. She tells me this. She loves to watch TV. I don't know why. I can't imagine. I watch too much TV as it is, and I don't watch anywhere near what the average person watches, we'll say. Every time she sees it as seen on TV, there's that urge to buy that thing. The streaming is a great advantage for her because she doesn't see those ads anymore. She has a lot more money now. She'd buy all the ads seen on TV things she could find. She goes into a mall with one of those ads seen on TV stores. It's all over. She's coming out with a bag of stuff. Don't expose yourself to that stuff. You have no power, right? If you like the big, 3-letter things from people and you want to listen to the 3-letter people, maybe don't expose yourself to them because you're going to get fooled by them, Maybe that's your Achilles heel. We all have, more than one of those for sure. But if you're not confident in something, it's hard to see proper confidence in others and see when they're a fake. And that confidence matters. And we will project what we want to see. Oh, this guy looks nice. We should listen to them. Oh, Candace has never let us down before. She showed us all these, true conspiracies. Fair enough. I mean, those exist. And she exposed at least a couple of them that I saw. She wouldn't lead us astray. Right. Charlie Kirk drove bunches of people mad. This whole thing is just wrecked. Just ripped through the moderates the same way that fake news virus scam ripped through the leftists. Sent a bunch of them off the edge. It's too bad. It's very sad. You can easily look at results in the world and see if people are worth your attention. Maybe I need a whole stream for that. Let me know. Take note of their confidence and see if it matches accomplishment. And most people do not even bother with this, much less vet accomplishment. Plagiarism, anyone? Did we hear about another academic plagiarism case recently where just no one did any research whatsoever? 10 minutes of research could have resolved it. Nope. That guy seems confident. We'll just believe whatever he tells us without checking anything at all ever, without looking into his history. But you know what? You can look and see if actions match words. Did you write the book or not? Is it published? Oh, okay. Well, you said it was published. It's not published. Actions and words don't match. Overconfident? Yeah. Faking it till he makes it? Maybe. Talk to others. Talk to those close to the person with the perceived confidence. Observe. Don't guess. There's no need. You don't have to guess. Look up their history. Is this an ex-con? Maybe don't trust them with the banking. I don't know. Is it somebody who's known for wrecking YouTube channels? Maybe don't give them access to your YouTube. This happens all the time on YouTube, by the way. You see freaking videos about it constantly. I'm like, man, this is not good. We're not living in the high trust society that we used to live in. That's for sure. Your biggest enemy, as always, is fantasy, right? Because it's yours. It's in your head. It's in your imaginal realm, right? And that is you. You are your biggest enemy. Do the work. It's hard. Learn the thing. It requires observation, not logic, to become good at observation, right? You have to become good at observation. And you'll be able to discern, not to understand, not to know, not to be sure of, just intuit what is good enough, neutral, and bad. And that's the best that you can do. So do that. Be better. The world needs you. You want to make the world better? Just you be better. You're in the world. That'll do it. All right. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my throat, but my goodness, it attacked me. I apologize. I think that's happened like once before. By the way, Yar, Ixon, thank you. What is the connection between confidence and the flow state? There isn't one. I think this is another scientific reductio ad absurdum, which is pretty much all science people do nowadays for some strange reason, which quite honestly, I don't personally understand. But they're very good at it lately. Like video games give you a flow state, whether you're good at them or not, actually. So there's really no overlap. Yeah, I should do a thing on flow state. Maybe we'll throw that on the list. Remind me later. Sally Joe, confidence, competence, consequence. Well, that's yeah. I don't know. That's our triplet there, but yeah. By the way, if you want to see videos on these other topics, you got to tell me because I need motivation. I need to know what people are struggling with. I don't always know. In fact, I don't often know. I'm just guessing. Ixnod, if it was fraud, no amount of talking physics could help. Yeah, well, believe me, it was fraud. I can show you the data. Like the data is available. I gotta find that guy on CNBC who talked about 2008 housing crisis and the $12 trillion on $3 trillion of debt. Yeah. And now that I know how they did it, it's so disappointing. Fake it until you make it. Conflates passion with potential. Yep. And competence, right? Like, yeah. And I like fake it till you make it is the sign of a deeply unconfident person who has no confidence about anything, but is doing it anyway. And I'm not saying that doesn't have its utility. I'm not saying that some people aren't just in that state, but don't confuse that for confidence. Like, recognize it. Ixnon, Mark isn't an elephant because an elephant never forgets. And Mark does occasionally. That's true. Occasionally. That's high praise. I wish I only forgot occasionally. The arguments I have with myself when I forget things, which happens way more frequently than I would like. All right. Man, this whatever's with my throat is killing me today. So if you would like to join, oh look, I can pin this link, can't I? I feel like I have talents beyond my own comprehension. I have pinned the link on the YouTube channel, Mark of Wisdom Navigating Patterns. If you would like to jump in, I also sent it in the thing, so everybody should be able to see it. You can click on the link, and as long as you're willing to come on camera, you can join me. Christopher, so good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well. So,
how are we? Scale of 1 to 10 compared to last week. What are we thinking?
Well, I think we can't have any confidence in the quality of this monologue until we crunch the numbers and get the p values.
Some days I'm like, how much would it cost me to fly to Alaska just to smack Christopher? Very clever, sir. Very clever. Why are you abusing me? This is my stream. You can't do that. That was well constructed. Very well constructed.
I'm surprised you didn't just kick me off for that, but
it
was a very good monologue. It was.
I'm tired.
Good, easily.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Easily 8 or 9 out of 10. So.
Oh, good. All right. Good. Yeah, I think I'm getting into a better rhythm nowadays, or upgraded skills or something. I think we had a lull there, which is usually when that happens. You go up,
yeah.
You go down a little, and then you get higher than you could before. That's very common. It's one of those things when people talk about flow state, like John Vervaeke, they don't account for that. It's all linear up for them. It's like, no, that's not what happens in rock climbing at all. And they attribute that to flow state. That's completely wrong. I should probably do a whole stream on flow state and just fix it, because I don't think these people understand that. It's one of the big flaws in his work, right? Because in his formulation, it's unavoidable that video games are good because flow state is good and video games are the most reliable way to get into flow state, according to him. It's like, no, this is all catastrophe.
Yeah.
This is absolute catastrophe.
Well, that he's assuming that kind of assumes that flow state in video games equals being good at the video game. And
I don't think so. I think it just assumes that flow states are good. And flow states are, I mean, this is the problem. Like, you know what else causes flow states reliably that no one talks about? Cocaine. Heroin. Like, actually, because they're not thinking of it that way, right? They don't realize what they're talking about. Not the psychedelics. The psychedelics don't do that. But the stimulants, of course they do. Probably even the depressants, although I don't have any. I'd have to do a bunch of research on it. I'm not going to do that research. Drugs are bad. Just like
right.
I don't need the details of why and how drugs are bad exactly. I don't. If you do, that's your problem. Good luck. I'll wish you a do. I'm not gonna get on that road. I mean, video game addiction is an addiction to the flow state because the flow state is giving you these constant dopamine hits. Because that's part of what the flow state is, not all of what the flow state is. Part of what the flow state is a good balance between your dopamine and serotonin levels. And when you're making progress, you feel more in the flow state. And when you have to go down the rock to come back up the rock further, when you're going down, you're still in the flow state, but it doesn't feel as flowy to you. And you know, like, I'm just going to tell you that's how it is. And that if you're careful and you have the ability, and you may not have the ability, you can figure this out. Like, you can work it out in yourself pretty easily, I would say. Video games is one way to do that, right? Because when you're not making progress in the video game, or when you stop making progress in the video game, you're still trapped in the flow state, but you don't feel good. And then you get off the phone, or, you know, shut down the console, or quit the game, or whatever. And, you know, you're probably a little anxious or angry, or both, right? And that's a good indication that, yeah, you were in the flow state. You had to end the flow state, but you weren't getting the same level quality of hit out of it anymore. And that's right. And so flow and confidence really don't go together at all. The real problem is scientists don't like confounding variables. And it just turns out that there's tons of confounding variables, and they operate within windows, which is really annoying, right? It's all Pareto principle stuff. So it's like, well, yeah, you know, this doesn't overlap with this, except when you're at the extremes on either side, and then it does overlap. And I was like, oh, well, that makes everything hard. Yeah, it kind of does. That's true. It also explains all the variation, like all of it. And what they've done is they've just, in scientific thinking, especially if you think you can, you know, understand the world, what you do is you just chop all the outliers out and you start making statements about averages. And that's super dangerous. Like, I was just the other day, I was looking at the average home price in the United States, and it's ridiculous, right? It's like $400,000. And then you look at the average home, not even the average, the median, which is a much better number, by the way. Never use the average for things like this. The median home price, it's still like 441 or something, right? But then you look at it broken out by state, and you realize it's a median, and it's like, oh, right. And of course, as a data scientist, I would never do it that way because that's an asymmetric data set. In other words, the cheapest possible house, you know, from a number standpoint, is zero. But you know, whatever. I mean, some people get houses for free somehow, whatever, who cares, or $1 or whatever, right? Just to make the contract work from a legal perspective. So those exist, right? But the distance between $1 and 100,000 is fixed. The difference between $100,000 or even $500,000 and the most expensive house in your state is not a fixed number, right? It changes and drifts. And worse yet, it drifts with inflation. And so the numbers were already wrong because they're not inflation adjusted. They never are. I was like, morons. It's bad data science, right? And so what ends up happening is you realize, oh, the median house price of say $300,000 means that it's very easy to buy a house for 200,000 in that state. Like there have to be tons of them because one $30 million house blows away the median, even in a median data set, blows away the number of $200,000 houses. Right. Right. And so the even in a median data set that happens, right? Because it's an asymmetrical data. And these averages are not, these types of averaging are not good for that. Right? They can't capture that. They don't capture outlier data. So what you would do normally is you would have a top end cutoff. And you might have a bottom end cutoff too, just to find out, what's actually going on in terms of purchasing. Right. So no one's purchasing a house for $1. Those are being moved as part of estate planning. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But also, that's not a purchase. Those aren't people putting up their hard-earned cash and getting a mortgage, for example, right? And it's not people with a lot of money just moving cash around. And I've known many people who, they save up all the cash that I might have done this, by the way. I just realized it. They save up all the cash they need to buy a house for cash, right? Like people do that. I've done it. It happens. So, that's going to be in your data set anyway. That's not a problem because there's a real estate transaction going on. But if you want all the real estate transactions, you have to have a top and bottom cutoff. And when you do that, you're going to slice the number of houses in your data set down by a significant number because you're going to get rid of all the people, at $1 million, basically. And because you got to understand too, people that let's just say you buy a $30 million house. Okay. The odds that somebody who owns a $30 million house is actually making their entire mortgage payment on interest by having other money in a different instrument is really high. It's probably 90%, right? Because when you're dealing with that kind of money, that's what you do. You finance everything. And I have done this, right? So when I first got my car, this isn't true anymore, but when I first got my car, I did not give them $40,000. I had $40,000. I had way more than $40,000. I did not give them $40,000. That would have been stupid. I took the 2.5% car loan. I let the bank give them $40,000, and I took the $40,000 and put it in a freaking dividend stock that was paying out monthly, by the way. Right? And I used that money, and I made, what did I make on that? I think it was 8%, right? After you factored out the 2.5 that I was losing for the loan, right? So it was like an 11%, somewhere in that range, dividend stock. And then I made a little more when I sold it because it had gone up and whatever. It's like extra bonus money, right? That's how people with money deal with money. That's not how you and I deal with money. So that technically is a different market. So they may have a mortgage. Yeah. They may be going to the same mortgage companies, but it's a different market because the mortgage risk on that is zero. Because that guy's got $10 million tied up to make the mortgage payment to have a $30 million house. And it doesn't affect his cash flow at all. It might even still be cash flow positive, right? Right. Or it might not be, but it might, instead of losing, I don't know what the freaking payments would be on a $30 million mortgage, but whatever payment that is, maybe it's down to like, $4,000 a month or whatever, like a normal mortgage. I don't know. Could be, right? So that's what smart people with money do, right? And so they use the debt to leverage their purchasing power. And when you lose debt to leverage purchasing power, everything changes, right? Because now there's no risk, right? The risk goes away. So if you want to measure the risk in the mortgage market, you can't measure homes above a certain value. It might even be as low as $1 million. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I wouldn't, you have to do a bunch of research and I'm never going to do it. I don't care. Right? So you have to kind of understand all that. But once you understand that, it's like, oh, okay. So this is all different for these people. And so the confidence that you can have in that average number of 441,000 is zero because it includes all the outlier data that really isn't even the same. You're not even talking about the same market, technically. So you've included a bunch of data from a different market, from different types of buyers into one number. That's ridiculous. It's just not reflective of anything interesting or important. But who knows things like that? Me. Wealthy people.
Yeah.
That's it. No one else does.
Definitely
Fair enough.
nobody complaining about the housing market.
There's a house, Christopher. There's a house down the street. I don't even think it's a mile from here. It might be half a mile from here. It's $159,000. Move-in ready. I'm not saying I'd move into it. I'm just saying it's move-in ready. Technically, there's someone living there now. Like everything works. The well, the septic, it's all there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it's like an oversized single wide, I think. And you can put something else on it. It's just no land, which I was shocked. There is a neighborhood half a mile up the road with no land. It's all lower income people. Very nice over there. Actually, those people are sweethearts. They have revivals. We can hear the revivals sometimes because it's right up the road where they have. It's right on the corner. It's on Cherokee Boulevard where I am. So, yeah. And then up the street further, there's farms. Well, across from that, there's a farm with horses. And how big is that? That was for sale. That was like $200,000, like 7-8 years ago. I wanted to buy it so badly. I think it was 25 acres. $200,000 with a farmhouse, a barn, and I think there was a house on it, although it was a small 1-bedroom. I don't think it was like a single wide either. It was bigger than that, but I think it was a 2-story house actually. It just wasn't a very big 2-story house. That wasn't that long ago. So you can have a working farm for $200,000. Half mile from me. That was 7 years ago. I'm sure it's way more now because the real estate jumped up because everybody and their mother's moving to South Carolina right now. But these, this house that just went on the market for $159,000. It's there, in the middle of fake news virus scam. I mean, there's a house for $60,000, move-in ready. I think it's 3 acres. It might be 3.5 acres of land. I would have bought it if things had not gone catastrophically wrong. I totally would have bought it because it's adjacent to my land. I could just walk on it without leaving my property. So.
Oh yeah, that makes
It's in the wrong county, but oh well, fine. I wouldn't have cared. I probably would have farmed the damn thing. That was my plan. I'm going to clear it and plant. That's what I'm going to do. But I didn't get it. Oh,
yeah, now in order to clear and plant now, you'd have to get rid of the beavers first, right? So.
No, I have lots of land in the swamp area, and there's a big stand of trees over here I could clear. Everything costs money, and I ain't got none of that. So still way in debt. So now they're arguing about fixing my car. I'm so customer service is non-existent. No one can do they can't plan things. Like, we want to move your car. Okay, we'll go move the damn car. Like, I don't care. You have my permission to move the car. Nope. They've got to get me involved. I'm like, I'm not even near the car. Like, I can't help you. What are you doing? So, no one can plan anything. My TV doesn't work. I've spent 2.5 days trying to fix my disc array because it got taken out in the recent storm and the power outage. It's a mess. That thing, I couldn't believe. I've never seen any piece of software load so slowly in my life. Like, actually 24 plus hours. I'm like, really? I know it's a USB stick, but still, this seems impossible. Like, they don't make USB that slow. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'm just like, why is all this stuff broken? I remember when I loaded it the first time, it didn't take anything like that amount of time. What happened? I don't know. No idea. That'll shatter your confidence in the world. I can tell you that much.
Mhm.
What did I leave out, Christopher? What questions do you have for confidence?
Mm.
What are you unconfident about in my confidence monologue?
Mm. I don't know. I think you covered everything that I had questions about, really. So,
Oh, that would be great. I like that. It's a good idea.
um, we'll need Sally to come up with another question, I think. But
I think I covered the bases pretty well. I mean, it it came together rather nicely. I started it on
Mhm,
like Tuesday or something, so I had a lot of time on this one, relatively speaking.
mhm,
I think that's part of the key, just having enough time to think it through and get it worked out in your head or whatever.
mhm. Have enough time to measure twice, cut once, whatever.
I remember the first day that didn't work. That's when I realized I had an illness. I was like, "Oh, this is not good." I measured twice and I cut it and it's still wrong. Bad.
That's when you come and say, "Well, I cut it twice and it's still too short." So,
Exactly. Sally, Joe, M. Cooper. Why do people confuse confidence and arrogance? Because we don't know the difference. Because we're not, first of all, people are super lazy, right? So it's they want to cooperate. Like this is the big secret. Like the whole reason why people are so easily manipulated is because we are cooperative creatures.
mhm,
And we want to cooperate so badly that we will warp and pervert all kinds of our observations just so we can cooperate with other people.
mhm,
We do it quite naturally, quite easily, quite simply. And what happens is, you look at this sort of fat, pimply blowhard on a stage, and he's got this PhD next to his name and physics, which is
mhm,
super important, as everybody knows. Physics hasn't made any progress in like 70 years. Um, Sort of a has-been science, if you ask me. Um, and you want to, you feel bad for the guy because it doesn't look so great. And you want to cooperate with him, and he's telling you all these wonderful things, and maybe they're hard to look up, or maybe it's something you don't know anything about, or whatever. And like you just, he's putting it all together. It sounds reasonable enough. It's logical. It's probably actually logical, even, right? And so, okay, yeah, it sounds right. And unless you're an expert at something that they're talking about that, you wouldn't notice normally. But the way to know, especially with those types of people, is look at how many things they talk about as though they're an expert, right? Because people have limited expertise. I am not an expert in how to play guitar. You will never hear me make that claim ever, or any other instrument ever, right? Or even like music as such. I mean, there's some weird, quirky things I know about music, kind of, but like I ain't your music guy. I'm
mhm.
sorry. Like it's never gonna happen. Like it's just not a thing that I can make happen. And I'm okay with that. Like, and there's so many other things. Like I can't draw. Uh I don't know how to like make a good lamp. Like I could go on forever, right? Like I can't
Right, right.
make ships in the bottle. Like I can sail. I can do that really well, right? Like I know martial arts, adequately. I'm not an expert at it by any means, right? So, like most things we just know almost nothing about.
Mhm,
And so it's hard for us to spot. But when you see somebody who one day they're talking about aliens, and the next day they're suddenly have this conversation about some government conspiracy theory and the involvement of the CIA. Or all of a sudden they're like, oh well, there's the myth of World War II, let me tell you about that. And then all of a sudden they're like critiquing the Western canon, and then they're like, what, this new movie, The Odyssey, okay, time out, kid. You're not an expert in any of those things, much less all of them. Now, there's easy ways to tell, right? Like I went over this in one of my other live streams, right, on the Odyssey. It's like I had this intuition about Christopher Nolan, and just based on the snippets that I saw, not a particular fan. Although now I am. Now I'm all in. This guy's the best. Screw everybody who doesn't like him. If you don't like Christopher Nolan, believe me, you are silently on my "you're a moron" list. I'm just going to tell you right now. That's what I'm thinking about. I mean, I'll be polite and everything, but also you're an idiot. You're an actual idiot because you don't see what he's doing. You think he's arrogant, and he's not. Is he toying with you? Oh, yes, he is. Do you deserve it? Oh, yes, you do. That's on you, because he's telling you very clearly what he's doing, and you just don't want to believe him. You want to believe some grand conspiracy that involves freaking lizard people. It's like, no, that's not what's happening. It's impossible that would explain what you're seeing in the world, right? I just use simple observation, and I go, all right, what set of conditions, in other words, what context, what frame would explain how somebody can watch a movie? And like, you don't have to use The Odyssey. You can use Inception or Tenet or even Dark Knight. Like they all suffer from this. If it's suffering, I mean, it's a talent. The guy's got skill, right? What would explain the fact that all of these people ostensibly saw the same things in the same sequence with the same music and the same lighting, roughly, right? And whatever, right? In the same kind of venue in many cases. And they came away with vastly, like there's no overlap in some of these descriptions, even Dark Knight, right? Some of these descriptions just conflict with one another. Now, that can happen a little bit for any movie. This is like all of it. No two people saw the same thing in The Dark Knight. It's unfreaking believable. Well, the only way that's possible is if it's a mirror. That's the only explanation that can possibly work ever. This isn't that hard to figure out, but you got to do the work. And you got to say, maybe this guy who seems a little pretentious, maybe he seems arrogant, but he's just telling me the truth. Like maybe he's doing it and he has an air of confidence about him. Maybe he's just telling me the truth and I don't want to believe it because I want to side with this scrappy underdog on YouTube who's a freaking movie critic. Oh, really? Those are your options. Some jerk off with a YouTube channel. Like, come on. Versus this guy who, is in a different part of society than you are, is clearly an artist of some kind, and his skills that I don't understand those skills. I can see some of what he's doing. I'm sure I can't see most of what he's doing, but I can see some of what he's doing clear as day. Like, yeah, of course. You imply a bunch of things, but you don't fill in those details. Well, the person watching is going to fill in the details. That's good storytelling. In all cases, it doesn't matter what kind of storytelling you're doing, right? So when somebody's talking about storytelling, are they talking about the absence? Are they talking about the space? No. Okay. You know nothing about storytelling. You should shut up about it. I'm just going to like flat out, just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a moron. You probably don't understand how to write anything at all. Period. And I'm sorry, but also getting tired of this. These freaking people, I wrote a blog article and it got, 100,000 views. And I'm like, okay, that's like 0.0001% of the Earth's population. You're not impressing me now because the internet is huge. So if you put something on the internet and you get 1 million views, that's the same as having one friend that like your stuff, and only one. So I don't care about your million. It's nothing. It's a nothing number because the set of people that see it or could see it is huge. So your 1 million means nothing. It actually means nothing. Now it's just me and data science and understanding all this stuff for years because I've got 35 years of experience in the computer industry. And I used to deal with these large sorts of data sets all the freaking time, right? I was there for the rise of the internet, man. I was there before anybody knew what the internet was, and I was on it. Like I'm intimately familiar with this stuff. Your 5 million views means nothing. Absolutely. If there's 2 billion accounts on the internet and more than half of them are bots, your 5 million still a nothing number. It doesn't even register. Who cares? It may be important to you. You may be able to make a lot of money on that. Good for you, whatever. I don't care. You're not moving the needle, you know? Sorry. You're not moving the needle. Not compared to the set you have access to. You know, I mean, maybe in your audience, you're moving the needle. And maybe that's important. I mean, one of the quote successes, and I do think it's a success of Andrew Wilson is, you know, he'll go to the place where the people who are the most confused and need the most help are, right? The whatever podcast, for example.
Yeah.
And he'll do his magic. And given the limited audience there, I bet his percentage rate of helping people is really, really high, actually. Is it a super impressive number? Probably not. Does he have a better rate than, say, Alcoholics Anonymous does with addiction? Maybe, but it doesn't matter. Like, he's doing great work and it's working, you know, and like that's valid. And yeah, it's still a nothing number to the internet. And he'll still never catch the bloggers, right? The bloggers are never going to pay attention to the whatever podcast, and I don't blame them, and maybe they shouldn't. But my argument would be, but those are the people that are, we'll say, in the most trouble. And if he can get through to those people, that's actually way more important than hitting somebody in the middle and nudging them. Way more important.
Mhm.
The outliers, all the action in a data set, in a group of any kind, whether it's a physical group of objects, a group of information, or a group of people, it happens in the outliers. It all happens in the outliers. That's what you care about. You know, it's the outliers that move the average, not the other way around. That's not how it works.
That's the thing with people wanting to make large changes of any kind
Yeah.
for progress or whatever. They want to move the average.
Yeah, and if they knew how,
they'll appeal to like an outlier, but then they're doing something large thing that tries to affect everybody and not just the outlier. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why they say people should, and it's like that's an automatic no, right? People should. What mechanism do you have to make the people should? None. Nobody has a mechanism like that. That doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Now, people get confused because you can look back in history and say, well, evil dictator went to Nuremberg and gave this wonderful speech, which actually kind of, again, it is kind of wonderful. Don't watch it. It's very scary. Watch yourself very carefully. Do it with the sound off. Tell me what you feel. Tell me,
Right.
Look at that guy. Tell me he's not confident, and tell me you don't want to follow him wherever the hell he's going. Go ahead. Tell me that. I'm not going to believe you if you say no. I'm just not. I'm sorry. And the reason why is because, and Peterson kind of hints at this, it freaking worked. Like, we're not talking about something that wasn't successful, right? The question is, why was it successful? What made it successful? Part of that is condition, and part of that is great man. Now, you can be upset that was a great man, but also definitely has to be, right? It's the outliers that move everything. And then applied a bunch of science of the time, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely. But did it correct? And scientists, unfortunately, can rarely, if ever, apply their science correctly. And there are those that can, but they're outliers. They're all outliers. Every single one of them is an outlier. Sorry. Just by the numbers, you can actually use the math here and say, oh, these are all outliers. Yeah, they're all like 1% or less of the total. They're all outliers, every single one of them. How many people make scientific discoveries? Oh, there's a handful of people that make scientific. I mean, Peterson talks about this. There's a 1%
Mm.
researchers crew, which he's in, right? He's in the top
Right.
1% of published researchers by citation before anybody knew who he was. That was already true. And
Mhm.
somebody argued with me about that on Clubhouse once, or maybe it was Discord. And we grabbed the numbers right then and there, and we did the cutoff date where he agreed to and everything. And he was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It shot up
Mhm.
after he got popular, but before he got popular, he was well cited. Fair enough. Good to know, right? But the other thing that people don't sort of account for is that effectively the people that will say make discoveries of like one discovery, the number of people that make more than one discovery as a percentage is really high, but it still follows the Pareto curve, right? So there's a bunch that can only make one, and then there's a bunch that can make two, and then there's a bunch that make three, but the numbers keep getting smaller and smaller as you get up,
Mhm.
right? And so it's like, oh, okay. So there's a set of skills here somewhere, right? There's a set of abilities that are coming together with the conditions, right? And sometimes those conditions
Mhm.
are external and sometimes they're pre-existing. It all depends on, like Steve Jobs is only successful because he had access to capital. If he didn't have access to
Mhm.
people that you start hearing the story of like Next Computer System, which is a great story to understand actually if you want to understand interesting stories in computers. And it's like all these companies are dumping tens of millions of dollars into this failed product, by any commercial standard, right? But that failed product built the iPhone, right? So, right. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, there's no iPhone without the Next Computer, even though no one bought a Next Computer. The people that did buy a Next
Mhm.
Computer, well, they wrote Doom. Oh, Doom was developed on the Next. Yes. And a bunch of other stuff was too. I can't remember off the top of my head all the things, but there's a few things that are like known in computer land that are like, this is the most important thing that happened during this time period. And they're all done on the Next machine. The World Wide Web. Yeah. The entire World Wide Web, that original Next box is still running apparently, or somewhere in Europe, I guess. That's the Next machine. Sorry. Super important computer
Yeah.
in history, right?
Mhm.
These things would not have happened without that computer in some cases, for sure. There's technical
Mhm.
reasons for that, but like for sure. But no one bought them. It was a commercial failure.
Right. Yeah.
And how it went on so long, nobody knows. Like, how the hell did he get all this money? I mean, all these big companies, some of these investments that you hear about, from the 70s and 80s, and all these companies dumping tens of millions of dollars into these things that, I already knew the story, right? I'm like, well, that wasn't a success. Why did anybody dump money into that? And they're still like, wow, no, these companies, because those people had access to talk to these companies and convince them of things. That's why I don't have that access, or, I would have tried to do that. Like, that would have been great. I would have had two houses by now. Actually, I have 3 because I need one on the beach and one on the mountains. That'd be awesome. And a helicopter, of course, to go between them, 'cause you
I
can't
mean
get
that
between them. What good is that? I don't wanna sit in traffic. You wanna sit in traffic? No. Let's buy a helicopter.
yeah, traffic's terrible. But that's one of the things that a lot of people seem to be confident about is that you can buy results for
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
It's funny too because people with money know that that doesn't work reliably at all.
mhm.
And so they don't understand, "Oh, you're just being greedy," or what. It's like, no, they just understand that buying things doesn't work. Like, that's not the magic. The magic is not the money. You can
Mhm.
spend $1 billion and get nothing. That's really easy. People do it all the time, as it turns out.
Mhm.
And that's an overconfidence. People are overconfident that they understand how this stuff works. So I was doing some research. There was a GitHub repository that was like, oh, we use AI and the DeFi chain to make automatic money. And I was like, and it's published on GitHub. Okay, well, obviously there's a scam here somewhere, right? And there
Mhm.
was. And I'm like, but that doesn't mean there isn't something to the theory that they're running under. And so I used the AIs because I could while I was doing other AI projects because I've got lots of
Mhm.
free AIs now, coding AIs. And I think it took like 3 days. I got to the bottom of it. I got rid of the bad address. I swapped it in for the right address. I fixed a bunch of bugs, right? Well, I didn't. The AI did, but whatever. And then I had it do the conclusions. And it turns out that this is a perfectly viable strategy for making like 9.38%, I think per month, actually. It's not a terrible number, but you
Mhm.
need $500,000. And if you have like 100,000, you can make like 2%, which is terrible return on 100,000. Oh my God. I was like, why would you waste your time? 2.5% on 100 grand? Like, what are you high? That's nothing. You're just losing money at that point. And people don't understand finance well enough to know why that is. Well, the damn coding AI did an analysis and explained it all out. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good because I don't know how that stuff works. That's DeFi stuff. So all the people in crypto think like everybody's got an equal shock because it's an open blockchain. And no, they don't. The people with lots of money have lots of financial momentum. And
Mm.
because of the mechanics of anything at scale, they can make money that you can't make. Period. End of
Right.
statement. And the fact that you're participating, maybe it works out for both parties because that happens, but they're always going to make 9% and you're always going to make 2. That's just the way it is. Like you don't have enough money. Yeah, if I had $500,000 lying around, I wouldn't make 9.3% on it. I'm fairly sure I can do a lot better than that. And depending on how long you can tie it up for,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
buddy Dave can get you way better than that for returns. So yeah, if you got, I think his minimum buy-in is 150K. So if you want to make like 80% returns, but it's a 3 to 5 year time frame, we can do that. I can set you up with him. No problem. Just let me know. I'll give you his info. If you can tie up that kind of cash for 3 to 5 years, done. And he's not the only one that does stuff like that, obviously, but yeah, that's doable. Totally doable.
Right. on.
It's not a bad return. 80% for 5 years, 3 to 5
Mhm.
years, maybe 3, maybe 4. But maybe 5, and you have no control. You can't pull it out. That's the problem. You can't pull it
Right.
out. It's
Yeah.
not liquid anymore. Is
Mhm.
if you're gonna do non-liquid money, you can make huge double-digit returns all day long. But you gotta have a lot of money. Like, you have to have the
Mhm.
capital up front, and you can't borrow
Yeah.
for that because when you
Mhm.
borrow, you need to pay back monthly, so that doesn't work.
Right.
And there's still risk, like might not go to 0, but you also might not get your 80%, you might get 4. Who knows, right? And that would be catastrophic if you funded that with debt.
Mhm.
You wanna do it with a small amount of money? Buy your car with a loan and take the money you would have spent on the car and put it in dividend stocks like I did. Problem
Mhm.
solved. You can do it on a small scale. You're just not gonna make a lot of money because can't make a
Right.
lot of money with a little bit of money. It takes money to make money. That's all.
Mhm. Yep.
And people are very
That's
confident that they know how this works, and they're very confident that, like, "Oh, crypto's equal. Everyone's equal on the crypto chain." It's like, "No way, dude. You're on drugs." Like, that doesn't hierarchy is real, momentum is real. These things
Mhm.
affect everything, and you're just along for the ride. And I know you don't
Mhm.
wanna be, but you're not going to magically not be. So, like,
Right.
just
Yeah.
accept where you're at. Then you won't be overconfident and lose all your money in crypto like so many people. Almost everybody in crypto has got a story about losing a wallet, getting ripped off, getting stolen from. Like, it happens all the time, and it's so
Right.
prevalent.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is the least safe form of currency of all time, guys. Crazy people.
Yeah. Yep. But it's sci-fi, and so it's fun. But
Well, they desperately want the equal world, and they want the
yeah.
equal. They think if they had equal access, and I'm like, I could put you on a trading desk tomorrow, and you do nothing but bleed money. Nothing. Like it would be a bloodbath. I mean, I remember when day trading got popular, right? And bunches of people got into day trading and got wiped out. They all got wiped out, you know? And a few people made it. It's not a very big percentage of people. And, you know, some of them got lucky and some of them had really good resource. I mean, that's how I got into Taleb. I was on one of these day trading sort of, well, it wasn't really day trading. It was for a trading platform. And they were talking about, no, you have to read this book, Fooled by Randomness. This is the absolute best book on trading ever. Now, there's nothing about trading in the book. I mean, there's a few references, right? But it's not a book about trading at all. It's a book about how you fool yourself with data. And it's like, oh no, right? And then hopefully you learn how to avoid that. And to avoid it, you need evidence-based technical analysis by Aronson. And that'll tell you how to avoid it. And that's a very big book. That's a good book, though. You want to learn statistics? There you go. That'll learn you statistics right there. Proper statistics, right? Taleb style almost, although I don't know if he is as rigorous as Taleb is. And then, of course, Taleb's got MOOCs. He's got online courses on YouTube, short ones. And he's got a bunch of papers and stuff. And he's got other books. Like he's got an earlier book called Dynamic Hedging. And he's got, you know, Black Swan and all that. They all have financial information in them. But yeah, before Black Swan came out, I already knew about Taleb. Huge fan. And that's one of the problems, right? A lot of people see my confidence and they mistake it for other things. Right? They think it's unjustified. None of my confidence is unjustified, and I can prove it. I can prove it through historical, or I can prove it in the moment. Whatever you want to do, dude. But they don't want that, right? They want to be right. And it's like, you can play that game if you want, but you're going to lose every time. I don't know why you want to lose every time, but I can't stop you.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not too vested in those people, so let them suffer. That's what they want. They're hell bent on it.
Yeah, that's probably has to do with a bit of, like, I'd say, bad formation of being more exposed to arrogance than to confidence.
Exactly.
So
they get flooded, and then it's pick and choose. And what criteria are they using to pick and choose? They don't know. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They're just out there picking and choosing winners and losers. Do you listen to Candace Owens? No, the better question is, when do you stop listening to Candace Owens? What do you listen to her about? And what do you stop listening to her about?
Right. Yeah.
Right. When she was doing Macron and Harvey Weinstein, she was great. Everything she said, she backed up with evidence. Every single thing, as near as I could tell. You know, I watched all of those. Like, actually, I was super into all that. I was like, wow, this is interesting. I didn't watch her show beyond those specials because I didn't care about what she was saying at all. But the Charlie Kirk thing, she just has no evidence. She's just, and the thing is, it's like, I don't need to do any research on that. She's making claims no one has access to. It's not that hard, right? Right? So somebody got me with this interview question once, although he was a jerk. He did this interview with me, and he said, so what happens if you're driving if you're going at the speed of light in a car and you turn on your headlights? And I gave him an answer because it was a hypothetical question, and I thought he wanted a hypothetical answer, which, you know, I thought was valid. And he said, no, you failed the interview because of that question, because you tried to answer a question that doesn't have an answer. And I was kind of like, well, that's a bit of an unfair question, dude. There's ways to do that. Huh?
That was a Stephen Wright joke.
Well, maybe. He used it in an interview. And I was like, screw you.
You know, the Stephen Wright joke was that he says, I went into an interview and then I asked the guy that question. And the guy says, oh, I don't know. And then he said, oh, forget it. I don't want to work here anyway.
Well, that's the opposite.
Stephen Wright joke. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where he stole that from.
Maybe. I don't know. It was a long ass time ago. He was a business partner of one of my very good friends. But he was a jerk, and he also stole, I don't know if it was 40 grand or 80 grand or more, but he stole a lot of money from that company, which
Hmm.
is very unfortunate. And my friend blew it up anyway because he's an idiot, but different problem. Uh, so despite me explaining to him how not to blow up his company, he just couldn't manage it. And he wouldn't sell it to me. I'm like, you dipstick. I would have gotten you the
Yeah, yeah.
cash. And the person he sold it to ripped him off. I'm like, you just love to get ripped off, don't you? So, I'm very used to this sort of thing.
Hmm.
It's too bad. I hate watching that stuff. It's one of the reasons why I don't. Sometimes I don't try hard because I'm like, I know how this ends. This is gonna end the way it always ends. Terrible.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's certain circumstances where you can say things like, well, we know what the defense is going to do in this case. No, you don't. That's impossible. Like, you can't make that claim. That's insane, right? It takes 2 seconds, and then people go, you can't say that." And I'm like, "No, actually, I can. They're the ones making the claim." Debunking a claim does not require knowing the correct claim. That's not how that works. It's really
Right.
easy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all of science works under that principle, right?
Hmm.
Science doesn't have the right answer. It doesn't need the right answer because it can determine the wrong answer. Now, the inference is where it goes wrong. It says, well, we think we've gotten all the wrong answers, therefore this must be the right answer. It's like, well, that's not the way that works, but it is better, I guess. You just can't make a truth claim with it.
Yeah. And I mean, there's the problem of the fact that it works by taking things apart.
Right.
And so,
The dissection. Well,
yeah.
and that was why, like, I remember the first time somebody threw a p-value at me. You may have heard of p-value hacking and stuff. I remember the first time I heard about p-values, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, the p-value on this is blah blah blah," and I was like, "What the flicking hell is a p-value? Like, I never heard of this nonsense before." So I went, and I don't think I'd read Aronson yet. I don't think I'd read Taleb yet either. But I mean, I know what statistics is, and I know how to calculate it and stuff, right? I learned that on Khan Academy. So I didn't learn it in school, that's for sure. I'm terrible at math. Math is awful. Math and I hate each other. Um,
Hmm.
so what happened was I found the p-value calculation and I did the p-value number and I said, the p-value on this is like 0.01. And he's like, I know, that means it's almost certain. And I'm like, you don't understand. Mathematically, you can't converge on zero. That is not an accurate way to measure a certainty. It's not. Like, it can't do it mathematically. You're going backwards. You want to measure up, not down. Like, obvious, because things converge on zero. But just like with housing prices, the certainty is not set. So you can't set it at zero. You
Hmm.
can't do that, right? Not when you're dealing with probability and statistics. You can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
So it has to go in the other direction. So the fact that it was going in the wrong direction, I said, p-values are garbage. They're BS. And it just so happened that that was correct. And it's easily derivable, by the way, from math. You can derive it really simply using math and basic logic, but people weren't doing that. And so they're still using p-values. It doesn't mean you can't use them correctly because there is a correct way to use them, but they're inferior in every possible case for measuring certainty. And that's maybe
Right.
they're accurate enough for certain things. That's true of most things, right? Like a Fahrenheit is an accurate enough measure of temperature in a bunch of temperature ranges, right?
Hmm.
Right. But not when you're dealing with super cold things. Like if you're doing superconductivity work, you can't use the Fahrenheit scale, guys. It doesn't
Right.
work
Yeah.
anymore. So it's the same deal. But you have to know all that. But
Hmm.
you don't have to know that detail beyond the fact that things have a scale in which they operate, right, with a level of precision, and that's it.
Hmm.
Outside that, they can't operate. And then this logical sort of thing about numbers and statistics that you can't converge on zero. That makes no sense, right? It works in calculus, But they're hiding a flaw there, right? It doesn't really work. It just works well enough, right? It's like, oh, okay, we'll just treat this like it converges on 0, even when it can't, right? And that's close enough. Fair. We do a lot of engineering that way. That's fine. All calculus, I think all trigonometry, if memory serves, works that way. That's perfectly okay. The delta thing, that's a nice trick. It doesn't work for statistics. What are you, high? Like, come on, obviously it can't work. And people were fooled by this for years. For years.
Yeah.
Some people are still using p-values. I'm like, what are you, stupid? It's not what are you, stupid? That's the wrong question. How stupid are you exactly? That's the right question, because you're really stupid. I just don't know how. I want to know how stupid you are. I need a measure of how stupid you are. The stupidity already happened. You bought into p-values long after they've been debunked. Good job.
I don't follow statistics stuff, so I hadn't heard of p-values before I heard how bad they were. But
there's a big scandal about it in the scientific research, because everybody had adopted p-values as a shortcut, right? And it just turns out they're really easy to, quote, hack, right? In other words, it's very easy to get something, quote, in the statistical significance range, even when it's not even close. And because they were relying on those papers and those paper conclusions, instead of people paying attention to methodology, which you should always do first, the conclusions, you don't even read the conclusions of a white paper until you've vetted the methodology. It's just people are lazy and they don't do the work and they want to believe stuff. Like, if you want to believe in geometric unity as the solution to an impossible to solve problem because it's a badly formulated problem, you can do that. You can follow Kurt Jaimungal on his mission to find the theories of everything, but there's no theory of everything. That's dumb. It's already a bad formulation, and therefore there's no solution. Right? That's not a thing that you can talk about or embody. That's why he's got every stupid theory like that on his channel. They can't all be right. They actually conflict, most of them. It doesn't look like there's a theory of everything. It looks like there's like 20,000 of them or something, dude. Like, when are you going to figure out that your channel is stupidly named and that you're just, man, when he talked to Peugeot, and Peugeot was like, all language is metaphorical, and he's like, no, it's not. And he kept throwing examples at Peugeot, and Peugeot just kept showing him how that was metaphorical, and he kept getting more confused. I'm like, oh, this is sad to watch. This is so sad to watch. He doesn't know language is metaphorical, and he's got a channel called Theories of Everything. This is not the guy. You're not the guy, dude. Like, you can't do it. You can't do it. Even if that was doable, you're not the guy. You're just not the guy. Maybe you can do something else. Sure, you get talent somewhere. It just ain't that. You're not good at the logic thing. You should know this. Absolutely. So maybe Jason will watch this. So Jason desperately wants me to watch this this talk that who is it? Knowles did with the quote smartest guy in the world, who is not even close, right? Marilyn Vos Savant is still in the Guinness Book of World Records as the smartest person on record, whatever reason. So I think it was the first 10 minutes, the guy just makes a mistake so egregious. I'm like, your IQ could be 1 billion, buddy. You're a moron. This is the dumbest thing I have heard in a long time, because they always get tripped up on language. These people always get tripped up on language. Every single time they go, well, really, language is a description of reality. And I'm like, oh my goodness, no, it is not. That is not even its purpose. What is wrong with your brain? And he was saying, well, I think who did he contrast? It was two of these, quote, philosopher clowns that aren't really philosophers, they're just clowns. It was Bertrand Russell and somebody else. And one of them was, everything's describable by math. And the other one is everything's describable by language. And which is, both of these are completely wrong. They're obviously wrong. There's whole books about why they're wrong all over the place. Not one or two either, like a lot, right? And yet these stupid rumors persist, right? And then of course he did the Hegelian trick where he said, well, it's actually a little bit of both. And I'm like, no, they're both wrong. You can't make two wrongs and turn it into something correct. You should know that. Your IQ is what? Your IQ is 0 at that point. I'm sorry. Like, you can't logic to save your ever-loving soul. We're all done here. I just couldn't. I couldn't get past the 9-minute and 22-second mark or whatever the hell it was. I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, these people are dumb. Now, that did inspire me to make a video about what languages and why it ain't that. Like, this isn't that hard, guys. It's really not hard. And it's part of the problem is they're taking very simple things and misunderstanding them in very complicated ways. And they're seeming very smart. And that comes across as confidence for some reason. And every time I see it, I go, you're an arrogant son of a bitch. The assumptions you're making are clearly incorrect. And you're a bit of an idiot. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing freaking movie reviews when you admit you don't watch very many movies? That should be a hint to yourself to shut the hell up. Like, shut your mouth. Why is this hard? Like, I don't start a YouTube channel and start telling guitarists that they're playing guitar wrong. Like, this isn't that hard. It's less work. Do less work. It'll be better. Jeez.
Yeah. I've watched a bunch of movies and I'm not going to be a movie critic. So
yeah. Well, there's somebody on the Symbolic World live stream a couple of live streams ago. And they were like, Mark, you should do your movie review stuff on Odyssey. And I'm like, I don't do movie reviews. That's not what we're doing. We're not doing that at all. Right? We have this very specialized template that we use to analyze patterns in movies. It's not a critique. It's not a review. You know, I mean, there's some review of the plot, for example, right? But like, that's inevitable when you're talking about a thing. You've got to like frame it somehow, right? But I'm not critiquing movies. And what are we doing? Seven Samurai next?
Yes.
Is that a week from Saturday?
Yes, that is the schedule.
10 a.m. Eastern time. So watch Seven Samurai. We have a document. You download the document. You fill it in either right as or right after you watch the movie, which is a long, it's like 3 hours or something, a little more maybe.
It's like 3.5 hours, I think.
Oh my goodness.
So it's
a slog. You fill in the document, right? You take your notes, and then you join in, and you know, we'll see how it goes. You can hop on on live, or you can jump in the live stream and answer the questions there that we're going to be talking about in the document. It's a nice fun thing. It's a 1-page document. It's not super complicated.
Yep.
There's no right answers because it's not about being right about, we're not critiquing things. It's not a review. That's not what we're doing, right? We're looking for patterns. And then I don't find all the patterns. That's not my job. That's not the goal of the whole project. The goal of the project is to just show people different perspectives so that they kind of get the feel for how complex the world is and how little of it they actually see. And that brings your anxiety down. It's like, oh, the world's just ridiculous and I'm just retarded. And, you know, I'm basically a Muppet. And once you consider that you're a Muppet enough, your anxiety goes down and you're like, oh, well, I'm a Muppet. I'm not supposed to understand these things. I'm not supposed to be able to look at Eric Weinstein and know that he's retarded and is just making stuff up left, right, and center. And like, I have whole videos, like, and I'll do more. Like if somebody says like, Mark, I want you to like vet this talk by Eric Weinstein and tell me why he's retarded, I'll do it. I love that stuff. You know, also, you know, to be fair, man, he wrecked a lot of people that I really liked that, you know, and like, there was no reason for him to do that. He's just a jerk. And so, yeah, I'm on the warpath on that. Absolutely, I am. And screw him. And if he doesn't like it, what is that worthless piece of garbage going to do to me? Nothing. There's nothing he can do. Go ahead, make my life more miserable if you think you can. You petty piece of garbage, because he is. You know, I have the goods. I have witnesses and I've got receipts. Like, you know, come at me, bro. You will lose that in 4 seconds. Pinned to the mat forever. Oh yeah. No, it's no bueno. You know, and most people I don't do that with, but him, I make a special exception for. because he just, yeah, I mean, the amount of hassle and consternation and time wasting he did to a bunch of very valuable people who, like, they were all in. They just wanted to help him, and he was such a jerk to them. It's unimaginable to me that anybody would be like that to people who are genuinely interested and wanted to help. Like, what are you thinking? You're that many people, you're a whole community of people, and you just wrecked it all to be petty, you know?
Mhm.
And I'd like to think his brother, I mean, his brother's probably better in that respect, but like he's not better with his work. His work is terrible. It's, oh, you know what the science says? No, Brett, but you know who also doesn't know what science is? You haven't read a single white paper about masks, have you, buddy? Not one. Have you?
Mhm.
No, you were just telling
Yeah.
people they can make their own masks, and that's just as good, which is wrong, by the way, dumbass. And it wouldn't matter
Right.
if it was just as good because masks are ineffective. So your mask is not just as good as an N95 mask, except that,
Yeah.
they're both ineffective. Like, at best, it's the best case scenario. As near as I can tell, the data actually says masks are bad for the wearer of the mask. This is derivable without any scientific anything, right?
Mhm.
You exhale moisture and carbon dioxide and small amount of oxygen, so a different mix of air,
Mhm.
out of your mouth along with heat. If
Mhm.
you keep that near your nose and mouth, then what happens is bacteria, mold, and viruses grow near your mouth. Now, I don't know if you know this. Maybe people don't know this, and I have to can tell them, but you also breathe in the same area of your face.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, when I look at the data as a data scientist, I go, well, this is obviously a negative effect. And it's statistically significantly a negative effect for the wearer of the mask past a certain period of time.
Mhm.
And guess where it shows up, Christopher? Guess where it shows up? It shows up in applications that have nothing to do with disease. In other words, people who wear masks because they're working on asbestos or fiberglass or they're working in a machine shop show the
Mhm.
same problem. Oops. Yeah, no one told you that, did they? Oh, well, guess what? That's in the data, guys. But you were all too lazy to look it up. And then you want to say, well, I'm a scientist and I'm a real scientist. And what we need to do is get rid of gatekeepers. No, what we need to do is get rid of people like you. They're too lazy to do the research that you claim that you like so much. You're a fake. That's what you are. You're a fake scientist. You're a fake researcher. It's garbage. And you can tell it's just the evangelical pattern. I brought some kids to South America with me and we all had a wonderful time. We all felt better. Okay. So what? That's not scientific. I mean, maybe it's
Mhm.
good. That's fine. I'm happy for you. Also, your school blew up and people like came after you with like intent to do bodily harm. Is it worth it? Didn't seem worth it. You seem awful butthurt after it happened to you, huh, buddy? Yeah, these people are clowns. I'm not in on these con artists. I don't like them. And to be fair, Brett's an innocent con artist and that he doesn't understand the mistake he's making at all. And this is what happens with smart
Mhm.
people. They don't believe they can make mistakes at some level or at certain types of mistakes. Like they believe they're immune to
Well, yeah.
biases and all this. They're overconfident.
Yeah, or they think they've already identified and accounted for all their biases.
Exactly. Well, once you identify a bias, it vanishes from the universe. Everybody knows that.
Oh yeah, yeah, obviously.
Like, who cares? I can describe the bias in detail. Or the one you're embodying at the moment. Great, thanks. I really needed that
Mhm.
information in propositions. That's wonderful. Jerk off. And then people are like, you know what, Mark, you're the problem. I'm like, oh, well, really? Okay. Well, you keep going down the road you're going down. I'll look forward to passing you in the fiery car accident you're gonna have. Good luck. Sorry, bro. Tried to help you.
Mhm.
And they all crash out. You know, the Candace crowd all crashed out. Yeah, not everybody. Like a few people saw it and laughed and whatever, but
Yeah.
they all crash out. Right? It's a train wreck over there. Those guys, man, they go after Andrew Wilson. I'm like, you can't go after Andrew Wilson. You're going to get your clock cleaned. The guy is fairly honest. Like, you're not going to win that battle. He doesn't pull any punches, and he doesn't make anything up ever. I've never seen him make anything up. I've never seen him overconfident. I've never seen him overclaim anything. I've never seen him like make a claim without evidence. I've seen him say, well, this is what I think, or this is my opinion. Everybody does that. That's called a Tuesday. But he's never said this can't be true or this is definitely true without evidence. Ever. You know, and I mean, maybe he has and I haven't caught it, whatever, but like he's way better at that than most people. You're not gonna, you can go after him if you want. I think you're retarded because you're gonna get your clock cleaned. There's just no way you're not better than him at that. There's no way. You're not more logical. You're not more honest. It's not gonna happen. He's got nothing to lose. And I didn't realize this, but apparently, like, he gets more like super chat money than anybody else on YouTube. It's like, wow, okay,
yeah.
That's pretty freaking impressive. Good for him. He deserves every bit and more.
Yeah.
And even Knowles, like Michael Knowles, I got nothing against the guy, really. I don't like him. I think he's a little Weasley. He's clearly a simp. Whatever. It's, you know, in the hierarchy of crimes, fairly low level, common stuff, not a big deal. But what does he do? He goes, oh, I'm not going to moderate this debate. But I think, and it's like, no, dude, no. You've already crossed the line. You don't want to be involved? That's fine. Shut up. Period. When you're out, get out. Right? It's easy to see these mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
When you've removed yourself, remove yourself. And then he doubles down on the mistake. He says, well, I think the money should go to Charlie's kids. Why? Are Charlie's kids impoverished? I don't think so. I think they have way more money than they need. I think they'll be fine. I think they already have college funds and all that stuff set up for them. Why are we giving wealthy people more money? What's the justification for that? I don't understand. Like, I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up with you know what we need to do? We need to get money and give it to the wealthy people. They have money. They don't even value money the same way you and I do. Like, why would we do this? This makes no sense to me. You know, it's not like they're in the tens of millions. Like, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Right? Like, why would you say that even theoretically that you should do such a thing? This is ridiculous. Like, who are you to, like, you don't even want to be involved. Then don't be involved. Just shut up. But then your involvement is, well, I think, like, that's all virtue signaling BS. Like, my opinion of them just through the floor at that point. I'm like, shut up. What is it with everybody? They just want to talk about everything. Like, that they don't even want to be involved. You don't want to be involved, and that's fine. Shut up. Why is that hard? It's less work. Way less. And less risk. Right? The guy tanked his entire image to me with that one move. I'm like, now I cannot have respect for you at all. And if you want respect from me, you're going to have to earn it. And he probably doesn't care and probably never do anything about it. And that's fine. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if he doesn't value my respect. That's fair. It doesn't bother me at all. But like, if it became an issue, he'd have to earn it back now. That would not be a small thing. I would have to start with a public apology to Andrew Wilson, by the way, but just saying, like, you're not getting right. You made that mistake. It has to be corrected. It has to be. There's no other option. I can't in good conscience give anybody a pass on anything like that. Then there's no reason to, because that's all it would take. It's not a high bar. It's not like you have to give him $10 billion. Like, no, I mean, but you made a public statement. You need to counter the public statement with another public statement.
Right.
At a minimum. And maybe that's enough. It's fine. But people are not willing to do that. They want everything for free. Right? They want other people's salvation or repentance or whatever for free. And And I'm like, no, none of this is free, guy. You made an action, it had an impact. You need to try to undo that impact as best you can.
Mhm.
And if you don't even try because you want a free ride, you want forgiveness or whatever, then you're a scumbag and you should suffer. I'm sorry, but also I'll die on that hill all day long and you'll lose every time because you can't impact the world in a negative fashion only and say it's okay. That's not acceptable. That's completely unacceptable in every possible way forever. And it does make you a bad person. Don't be a bad person. Unnecessary. You have time, energy, and attention. Put it towards good things. If you can't manage that, shut up and stay out of it. And if you can't manage that, you're making the world worse. I don't want a worse world. I want a better world. Not that hard. This is super easy. It's super logical too. And these people, their logic skills suck. They're terrible. That's a classic overconfidence, right? It's understated. Michael knows is understated overconfidence, right? Ben Shapiro's overstated overconfidence, right? Maybe that's what we should do. We should just collect examples, and I can go through them all, right?
Yeah. On the other hand, we could get more people to have more discussions about this, and that would definitely make everything better, Mark.
No, not discussions. We need full-on debates. I'm like, oh
right.
My gosh.
We need to host a debate about the debates and how they went. And
Benjamin Boyce figured it out. He put on Twitter like this is just gonna dig both sides into their position. It's like, yeah, that's generally what happens for most people. And you know, and I think Andrew Wilson, again, I totally support, like I've never said a bad word about him. I totally support everything he's doing. I'm on his Discord server, right? Like I like those guys. They're pretty interesting. A few of them are annoying as piss, but whatever. Andrew's not. I like Andrew. He's funny. But like they're not at the point where they're like understanding maybe he's fine on whatever, and that has an outsized positive effect. But this Candace thing, I don't think he's gonna change as many minds as he does on whatever. And I hope I'm wrong, actually. It would be wonderful if he converted a bunch of Candace nut jobs to being not nut jobs. That would be awesome.
I don't think that will happen.
I
saw a thing on Twitter earlier pop up where someone was like had a clip from them debating whatever. It's like, oh man, this makes Andrew Wilson look really bad in this section here and whatnot. So those people are doubling down on that position. Yeah.
They were going after him over being in the military. And I'm like, but he was. Like, I don't have okay, why do you think that's a got you? Oh, he told the truth about something. Oh yeah, well, that's terrible. You can't tell the truth if it disagrees with my worldview. I'm like, what? Okay. Yeah, it's a bad look for the guy being honest. Ooh. Can't have that.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with your brain? But that's the thing. They're mentally ill now. Maybe they weren't before, but they are now. And like arguing with mentally ill people is a waste of time. Like you can't make them better. Not through that mechanism. Maybe there are other ways, but that's not one of them.
Right.
There's a lot of Twitter stuff about it, and then of course, you know, immediately you've got the guys who, we're going to do a live fact check of the debate. And I'm like, you little weasels, you know, and everyone's like, well, we don't know what grifting is. No, that's grifting. That's what grifting is. It's where you're doing no work and you're making an authority claim on somebody else's content. Like, that's wonderful. That's total grifting, right? You're not really offering analysis if you're doing fact checking. You're just saying, this is true and that's not true. And then fact checking is an arbitrary process. Lots of things are factual. It's the conclusions you need to worry about. And that's where everything goes wrong. Crazy people have bad conclusions. That's what makes them crazy, right? They think the fact that the pyramid is a natural shape in building that would emerge no matter where you are in the world with whatever materials you have on hand means that it was the ancient aliens that built the pyramid, because how else could the pyramids be the same everywhere? Well, they could be the same everywhere due to the physical constraints of gravity. That's how. It's not that hard. It doesn't require ancient aliens, you nitwit. You know, and the worst part is it's asymmetrical. You also can't rule out ancient aliens because there's no way to do that. Right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's the same statement as saying God told me to build a pyramid. It's no. So now it's, which one do you want to believe? Like, well, let me just, in case this is unclear, I'm a no on the ancient aliens. Just in case that's not. I don't know, man. Like, you gotta do these disclaimers now. Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah. People want things to be in their objective material reality for that. So
Well, they don't have the neutral space, and when you don't
yeah.
understand the neutral space, everyone's on the left or the right. It's like, then how do you explain all this other behavior? And of course, they can't, because it doesn't fit in a binary. And so it's the woke right, and it's like, God, how stupid can you possibly become? And it's the two things that shock me all the time, Christopher, all the time. Nowadays, it's almost every day, right?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, people are dumber than I thought they could be. Like almost every day now that this occurs to me all of a sudden. It was only like once or twice a month, and then it was like every week, and now it's almost every day, right? And then the second thing that occurs to me is there are a lot more dumber people than I thought. Like, there are just, the number of dumb people is through the roof, man. Like, and like, you watch Candace now and you're like, yeah. And none of the people were like that before, because I used to watch her and it was fine, right? It was the same. It was the same with Dark Horse. I'm watching Dark Horse. I like Brett and Heather, pretty interesting, right? So you've got the two brothers, and the smarter of the two brothers is Heather. It just, I don't know. BVK agrees with me about that, so there's going to be something there. He's pretty smart. And then they go off the rails and they do this 10 truths, and I'm like, who the hell are you to, and then the list is wrong. I'm like, oh my God, why did you do this? And that was the last Dark Horse I watched, without, I mean, every once in a while someone will send me something and I'll watch it, but I was watching every day, right? Every time it was on, I would watch it. And I was like, nope, now I'm done. These people are off the rails. And because you don't have the neutral space, you don't know when things go off the rails. There's no way to do the contrasting correctly, because you need 3 points of contrast, not 2. And so, right? Because if you only have 2, I think one of the things that reliably drives people insane is only having 2 points of contrast. Because you only have 2 choices. You're either for or against. Like, it reduces into this ridiculous asymmetrical binary, right? Which is a hint. Like, binaries are not asymmetrical by definition, but you're in an asymmetrical binary. That should tell you the binary is the wrong frame. Nope. No one gets it. And so instead they bounce back and forth, and it drives them nuts. Like, well, of course it drives you nuts. You're in the totally wrong frame. Yes, you're not going to be able to understand the world in a binary frame. I'm sorry. Maybe upgrade your thinking. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Or don't think about those things, because you're dumb about those things. Everyone's dumb about most things. It's fine. Just think about other things. Like, outsource that to somebody else.
Yeah. I know, as the chaos gets more, the blood gets worse, and more people get swept away in it. So
that's right. Yeah. And it's so clear. And the number of people that like see this as some kind of like new information, I'm just like, oh no, why wasn't this obvious? Like, it's in the Bible. Like, but all you people that tell me, oh, this book is really important, it contains the truth, and apparently you read it and didn't understand a word. That's love. Thanks. That's wonderful. Like, how did you miss that? That should be clear as a bell. I mean, Wow. Like, I don't know. I don't know. What are we going to do with those people? That's the real question. How are we going to fix this?
Yeah, that's
We're doomed.
that's the
We are
thing. Maybe
doomed.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get Fargo Con and we'll be able to come up with something there.
Well, that would be the goal. Fargo Con should be a wild success. We still got to push to make sure that happens, but we'll keep pestering certain people until they make it happen. Do the thing. We need to get
Yeah.
Castle in on that action because he's got contacts all over the place.
Yeah, that would be good.
He knows all kinds of people now. I'm like, how did you? He's like, oh, no, I did this. I did. I'm like, okay, well, that's awesome. He has no fear. No fear at all. Speaking of confidence, I have great confidence in the board game. Why don't you give us an update on the board game?
The board game, we have to redesign the way the cards look a bit to fix a few problems we found there. And we need the photographs from Sally for the board. And then we should be pretty much good.
That is going to be great participation in virtue right there.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least a stepping stone to, we'll say, deeper participation into virtue.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it. And we got to do another play test because no one showed up.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to schedule a play test where people will actually show up to. And
Yeah, we got to get people to show up to the play test, and we do those on just like the movie club stuff. We do that on Saturdays at 10 a.m. So I don't know. Pick a Saturday, and we'll schedule it again. I'll put it on the community here for the YouTube channel, and we'll throw it on the Discord, of course, on the Mark of Wisdom Discord, and see if we can actually get a bunch of people that don't know anything about this to play it, so that we can get a good play test. I think we have to reprint the cards, obviously, but I think we've got a way to do it over the Discord that will work. That would be fun. You will need a Discord account to participate. I'm not doing that online. Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great.
And people can also show up on the Discord and participate in the Jordan Peterson meetup group Monday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Monday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern. Yep. What are we, episode 5 of 2017 Maps of Meaning?
Yes, that is this Monday, and then next week will be episode 6.
So this coming Monday, episode 5. So I gotta watch it. Is that another freaking 3-hour marathon thing?
That's his aren't 3 hours. His might be 2 or closer to 2 hours. So
well, the last one was like 2 hours and 47 minutes or something crazy. I was like,
yeah, it might have been that one. It was probably closer. It might have been 2.5 hours, closer to 2.5. But yeah,
that's a lot of watch time.
yeah.
A lot of watch time. Damn it! I've already seen this. Why do I have to watch it again? It's great. We get so much more insight when we do these things too. It's a nice practice.
Right. Yeah.
And then someday we'll do that on the YouTube channel. Maybe we'll just show everybody what a practice looks like that. Maybe you can do like a compressed version or something. I don't know.
Maybe we'll figure that out later. Not right now. But.
I want to do a very structured practice where we have something that like has so many things in it, so we know what they are. Like we set them ahead of time, and then we compare like how many things did you see? Sort of that just take a lot of work.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I have the energy for that stuff. Plus, we gotta get back up and running with the other practices, like the exploring narrative meaning. We got to do that at some point. We're gonna have to get a bunch of people together for that and stuff. There's so many little things I want to get rolling.
Yeah, You also need to get your podcast going up, right?
Yeah, I gotta put all the podcasts up. I almost did that, but then we've had this 2.5 day freaking outage, so I couldn't because all the podcast materials on the device that's down, of course.
Mhm.
And I'm spending enormous amounts of time trying to fix the stupid device, which should take 4 seconds, and instead is taking 2 days for some
Mhm.
stupid reason, which I still don't understand. I mean, the number of times I was like, I should just rewrite this myself from scratch in C because I could. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's gonna take a lot of time. Like, you know that kind of time. You know, that kind of focus, like, and you have other things to do. Like, no, I just want to fix this the right way once forever. It'll never break
Mhm.
again. Ugh, it's so bad. It's horrible knowing how all this stuff works and knowing how it's broken and how you could fix it. It's horrible. It's torture. Like, oh, I regret this whole tech thing. I wish I had never had a computer. I would have been happier for sure. They stole all my money anyway, so didn't help me there ultimately. Made a lot of money, but they took it all. So good as that. Yeah, that
Like
didn't
they
work.
say, yeah, like they say, ignorance is bliss, right? So,
Ignorance is bliss when it is folly to be wise. Well, being wise about tech, very folly. Very folly. Yeah, I mean, fortunately Reacher's out and they're giving you the first 4 episodes up front. But I went to like watch our usual show and I'm like, oh, it's on the device that's dead. That's not helpful. Oops. I guess we'll have to watch Reacher then because we don't have much else.
yep,
We
yep.
got tons of other stuff, but I'm just like I'm in a groove about what I'm watching, you know. So
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, so that's what's going on. That's kind of the roundup. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. You wanna wrap it up for us, Christopher, and then I'll close this out.
And let's see, what can we do to wrap this up? I mean, pay attention to what you're confident about and why, and that will help you be better, and the world will be better.
Yeah, well, the world needs you, so be better. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, and at some point I will do this live stream, although I don't know what I'm doing next week. Maybe I'll do this one next week, but I don't think so. I think I'll do competence or something crazy, and then we can tie together authority and confidence into competence or something crazy. We'll see. There's other things in this thread that I could do. So we'll see what I decide on. If you've got suggestions, comments, right? Likes, all that stuff, subscribes, tell your friends, force them to
Hmm.
watch, whatever it takes. Um, yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's cultivation of your own confidence allows you to recognize it better in others. And if you do the
Hmm.
work, and this is where people fall down, they just don't do the work. They don't look into people's histories. What have they done in the past? What are their claims? How many claims do they have? Do they claim like five levels of expertise in different things? Like, that's
Well,
suspicious. It's not
that's
wrong, but it's
yeah.
suspicious.
It's probably a problem that people want confidence to be comfortable.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. If
So,
if confidence makes you only comfortable and there's no fear there about, we'll say, your own engagement, maybe it's not confidence. Maybe people are just making you comfortable and you like it.
hmm,
And it's comfortable to think there's a theory of everything and that once we find it, everything will be fine. It's
yeah.
comfortable to think that, yeah, if we just put humans on Mars and they start a government from scratch, it'll somehow be different because it's not like humans created government, right? And so obviously, uh, it is yeah, it's just that was a hell of a talk on Clubhouse one night with a very drunk guy who was very disappointed that no one had solved that problem of government, and therefore the Mars project was probably a waste of time, at least from his perspective,
Yeah.
which I kind of agree. Yeah, cultivate your own confidence in something and that'll
Mhm.
help you to see these things. And if you have examples, like seriously, like contact me on the Discord or put them in the comments on this live stream or something. And I could go through them and say, well, this is why this guy is overconfident or why he's arrogant or whatever. I could do that. I just can't. I do it in the moment but it's so natural to me. It's so natural to me. It never occurs to me to like write this down or this is a good example. It never occurs to me. It's
Right,
like,
right,
whatever.
yeah.
I got things to do. I gotta watch the latest
Mhm.
Universal History or whatever, latest Machu
Yeah.
Picchu talk or
You have to spend
whatever.
3.5 hours watching Last Samurai.
I got to spend 3.5 hours watching Last Samurai before a week
Seven
from
Samurai,
Saturday
not
for
Last
the
Samurai.
movie club stuff. Yeah, lots of or 2+ hours of Jordan Peterson 2017 Maps of Meaning
Mhm.
episode 5 or whatever the heck that's going to be, right? And so yeah, but ultimately understanding confidence is one of the things that allows you to follow the right people, to understand whether or not authority is a good authority, a la last week's live stream, right? And ultimately be better because the world needs you, right? So be better. And if you're better, you will make the world better automatically. It's super easy. You have the most control over yourself. And that, all it takes is taking care of yourself and taking care of each other. And I'll see you next week.